Hello and welcome back to the FPL Tom YouTube channel. It's a special day. It's a very special day on the channel. We tried to do this last time with Golden Goal for the Euros, but it didn't work. We had some technical difficulties, sorry. We had some this time, but it wasn't on this channel. It was on Golden Goal. So if you are coming from his channel, welcome to the FPL Tom world, if you like. But Tom, how are you doing, mate? You doing good? You enjoying the start of fantasy?
Yeah, doing good. I've not spent too much time on it over the last couple of days though, because we had like so many price reveals before the game actually came out. You could pretty much like make the team before FPL even launched. But yeah, I'm excited to have the game back and get back into the content.
Yeah. Do you think maybe, like, before we obviously go and answer people's questions and talk about the game a bit, do you think maybe they did a little bit of overkill with kind of the promotions, like too many days of kind of price reveals and stuff like that?
Mate, there were way too many price reveals. I don't know about you, but going on to FPL.team a couple of days before, I mean, I built the team that I have in the game now, and all the prices were correct. So yeah, probably a little bit too much, but you can't have, I guess from their perspective, you can't have too much.
Yeah, true. I think though the only kind of caveat to that point is they've already had 1 million people sign up to the game, so
Exactly. I was gonna ask how many did.
whatever they've done, it must have worked. They've built some hype, probably with some of the changes, I think, and some of the kind of interesting pricing that I imagine we're going to talk about in today's stream as well. This is a Q&A, so get your questions in. Me and Tom are going to be live probably for, I'd say, around an hour. We're going to answer as many of your guys' questions as well. If you want to send over your teams, do it either at my Twitter or at Tom's Twitter. Go to our most recent tweets, leave your teams under there, and we'll get some of those reviewed a little bit later on in the streams. I think the big question, and one that I can see kind of flying around in the chat, and I've already done a poll about it already, is around Erling Haaland and whether or not he's worth potentially going for. I've got him in my team. I know you've got him as well, but what are your thoughts on the big man?
Yeah, mate. I think you got to, from my perspective, looking at game week 1, you don't need him because I think that Chelsea fixture will be quite tight. But game weeks 2, 3, 4, like game week 2, it's Ipswich at home. I can't remember the exact. I think it's West Ham and Brentford 3 and 4.
Yeah.
I just think you're going to want to captain him every week. Not game week 1, but 2, 3, and 4. So for that reason, he's in for me.
Yeah, agreed. I think it is the captaincy that just sways it, doesn't it, to be honest? And I think a lot of people thought that he had a bad season last year, but I think it's because how well he did in the first season. He still got 29 Premier League goals. And I think
It's insanity, isn't it? Yeah.
it was 8 assists as well, like, and that was when he played 31 games, didn't have KDB fit for most of the season as well.
Yep.
You start to factor in all these things, and I still think he's going to probably hit 30 goals this season. And, you know, these kind of conversations about not having him starts to sound a little bit daft, doesn't it?
I agree with you. But yeah, I've seen lots of drafts without him. And obviously, I guess with Isak and Watkins being such good prices, a lot of people are going to fit them in and maybe another cheaper striker or go 3-5-2, something like that, right?
Yeah, that's the plan I've got currently as well. Right, let's start answering some of your guys' questions. We'll start off with Scott first. I know you did a video on goalkeepers today. If you haven't been and checked that out, go and check it out. An amazing video done by Tom. He's asked Petrovic or Sanchez.
Oh, it's got to be Sanchez, I think, mate. Unless we get any news like in pre-season, I'm pretty sure Enzo has been quoted saying that Sanchez is his first choice keeper. So I think that's all you need to know from my perspective.
Nice, decent. Was his numbers pretty good from last season?
There's 3 4.5 keepers that I really like the look of in Sanchez, Dean Henderson, and then Sells of Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact stats. They're all pretty close in terms of like expected goals conceded and saves per 90, which I think are the things you need to focus on.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really close between the 3 of them. To be honest, I couldn't pick a winner.
Yeah, I think Sells could be a decent option with the new Forest centre back they signed today. He looks very, very good.
Yeah, their stats they put up, particularly under Nuno, like well, we all know Nuno's a bit of a defensive coach, right? He likes his 5 at the back, etc. But the expected goals conceded numbers they put up since Nuno came in was, I think, in either the top 8 or top 6 in the whole league. So yeah,
Speaks for itself, doesn't it? Really. Next question: Do you think if I need 500,000, Timber is good instead of Saliba?
what do you think?
I mean, we've not really seen Justin Timber play any sort of Premier League football. So to comment, I know he's cheaper, and obviously I think for the start of the season, they're just going to go with the formidable back line that was so good last season. I think once we start to see Champions League, Carabao Cup, all those other cup competitions start to kick in, that's when we might start seeing Timber feature. But for me, from the start, I think Arteta's going to go for the defence that did him so well last season.
Yeah, I think the same. To be honest, mate, I reckon, because he mucked about with the defence at the start of last season, didn't he? He played like Partey at centre-back or something like that. I think if they played that back four from the start of the season, they could have won the league. But yeah, just my thoughts. I think it'll be, Ben White, Saliba and Gabriel are the ones to like hang your hat on, aren't they? And then whoever plays left-back I think is the question. There's Timber, Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, Tierney's injured all the time, isn't he? But they got multiple options for that left back spot. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I'm guessing
I wouldn't pick
pre-season
Timber.
probably be a good indicator as well. Who's getting fairly decent minutes, especially it's usually the last 2 games of pre-season as well. Whatever the kind of main starting squad is, that's probably what it's going to be for the first game.
Do you reckon they'll sign that Calafiori from Italy as well?
Yeah, I think they will. I think they will. Like, you know, I've not really seen any clips of him playing football, but hair-wise, immaculate.
He's a handsome geezer, isn't he?
He is indeed. Next question. Doku at 6.5 million, going under the radar, do you reckon? I'm not a big fan of Jeremy Doku. And, yeah, I think for any price, I probably wouldn't be looking at Jeremy Doku for me, personally. I don't know what you think about that one, mate.
Yeah, I agree. How much is he? 6.5 million?
6.5 million.
Yeah, I think he can do better. Better for that price. Plenty of like Neto and Kunku, so many better options in my mind.
Yeah, you've got like players like Morgan Gibbs-White, who plays virtually every minute for Nottingham Forest and is on every set piece imaginable. So that's a better option in my opinion. Is Trippier worth 6 million or is Gvardiol better?
It's a good question. I'll do a little hint to my defenders video that will come out tomorrow morning. I think they're both pickable. Like all of the 6, I think Gabriel, Saliba, Trippier and Gvardiol are all pickable. Like Trippier had a disappointing season to some people said he had a disappointing season, but when you look at his stats, he's pretty good. So yeah, I don't know. I think he's pickable. I think he's pickable.
Yeah, especially with the start, like the first 3 or 4 fixtures that Newcastle have got as well are pretty decent as well. And then after that, you could probably maybe switch to Gvardiol. You've already got that kind of placeholder, if you like, at 6 million in.
Yeah.
Next question. Thoughts on Morgan Gibbs-White? I mean, I was kind of just singing his praises there, so I'm probably his number 1 biggest fan, but had a really, really good season. I think it went under the radar, to be honest, how good a season he had last year. Maybe it was because Forest never really had a fixture run that kind of warranted a lot of the kind of content creation movement potentially taking a look at him. But Jake, who I do the preview streams with, had him probably from about January. And every week he was in the team, rain or shine, just picking up an assist here, an assist there. Every week he'd be like, oh yeah, there's just Morgan Gibbs-White with another assist this season. So I think he's a great shout. Semenyo or Hudson-Odoi? Which one would you pick, mate?
So that's really tough. I'd probably say Hudson-Odoi just because he's going to start every game. I don't think Semenyo was a sure starter. I think he should have been, but I don't think he was a sure starter for Bournemouth last year. So for that reason, I'd probably say Hudson-Odoi in my mind.
Yeah, I'm backing that one as well. Back to the Timber kind of conversation we were having a few seconds ago. Do you reckon he affects Ben White's minutes?
I have no idea whose minutes he does affect. I think he's a really good player and he will at some point play in that Arsenal team. But who he replaces, where he plays, I've no idea. He could affect. The only one I think is impossible to affect the minutes of is Saliba. And I think the mucking around with the team at the start of last season shows, I think, that Arteta prefers Saliba as his number 1 defender. Yeah. I think Saliba played all 38 games last year. So I say Timber could affect anyone apart from Saliba.
Okay, I can get on board with that one as well. Foden or KDB, both coming in at that 9.5 million price range as well. If you had to pick one for game week 1, which one would you be going for? I think I'd lean towards Foden, to be honest. I don't know if you'd agree with that point.
Yeah, totally, mate. Totally. KDB's bit too injury prone in my mind, and I think a lot of his FPL assists are more weighted. Sorry, FPL returns are more weighted towards assists than goals, which obviously score you less points.
Yeah, agreed. Which of Palmer, Saka, Foden, and Son do you prefer for game week 1?
I think you've got to say Palmer. I do really like Son though. I
Mm.
prefer I put Son in second place of those players, but I'd say Palmer's the best.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one. After the Manchester City game, the fixtures are really decent. But I was looking at Palmer's home record last season. He was the highest scoring player at home. So even against City, who knows? Maybe a couple jammy penalties as well might go his way.
It's all he needs, mate. It's all he needs.
That was the case last season, wasn't it?
Do you think, a question on Palmer I've been talking about in my videos, do you think he will repeat the levels that he did last year? Do you think he'll be, I think he scored 25 goals in the league, something like that?
Yeah, I don't think he'll get as many goals, but what I think he will get more of is assists this season.
Yeah.
Because obviously Jackson's towards the back end of the season started to look a little bit more of a competent striker. Obviously in Cuckoo, if he can keep himself fit as well. Like I think Chelsea were one of the top teams for XG kind of created, and kind of the conversion rate to goals was like a massive disparity. So I think if he can get himself some players who can also, take their opportunities, I think his assists will go up. I don't expect the same level of goals with just because I think it's impossible that you're going to get that amount of penalties yet again.
No, I agree, mate. I agree.
Cool. Best 4 million defenders.
Coming soon in a golden goal video near you. I reckon, I can't remember his name now. The Brighton left back who's going to replace Estupinian at the start of the season.
Is it
I think he's going to be good.
Bacco or Daco? Something like that.
Bank, something like that. I
Yeah.
can't remember it now. I think he's my number one, and then there are 5 or 6 promoted defenders that you
Mm.
could pick, and I don't think there's anything to split them really. Those sort of three promoted teams, Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton, I think they're all going to concede a load of goals, to be honest, and I don't think there's much to split them.
Yeah, agreed. I think I did. Was it the TikTok I filmed before I came on? Yeah, I think it was the 4 million defenders ones. There's like Harwood Bellis, Bednarek, Ben Johnson's an interesting one who's just moved to
Yeah,
Ipswich.
yep, yep.
He looks like he could be the only fullback. Obviously, if is it Benko or I'll find his name in a second. But yeah, he probably is going to be the only fullback if he doesn't start any games. Let me just get his name. Barco is his name.
That's it. There we go.
Barco. Is Trent worth 7 million?
I think he's underpriced.
Oof.
I got to say, I think that's one of the best prices in the game that's been announced. To be honest, I really like him. I've had him in every draft so far.
Why do you think he's underpriced?
But I just think he is almost unique amongst defenders in that I know Liverpool weren't that special defensively last season, but he's a player that can get returns through 3 different means, and you kind of have to think of him differently from other defenders because he is just so attacking and so good from an attacking perspective. So, like, if he got, say, I don't know, 5 goals, 10 assists, 10 clean sheets, that's 25 returns in a season, which is spectacular. And then obviously bonus points on top of that as well, and you're paying 7 million for that.
Yeah, agreed. I think I was kind of trying to find a way to get him into the team just because of like his assist numbers and his projected points numbers as well are pretty decent. I think Liverpool are predicted to pick up the most points over the course of the opening 6 games as well. And you imagine with that, they're probably going to be top for clean sheets along that period as well. So could be one. Maybe if I can find the money somewhere, get him in. But I guess it is a choice of do I go with Salah and Haaland or do I go Haaland and maybe find a route to Trent some other way?
I guess the one question mark about Liverpool at the moment, I can't imagine they'll be terrible. There's no way in my mind that they'll be terrible, but how do they play under their new manager? I think that's a big question mark, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's going to take a little bit of time, isn't it? Probably going to be a little bit of rotation as well. So I think that kind of answers any questions we're probably going to get about, Gakpo, Darwin, Jota. I think it's a wait and see on those, to be honest. The fixtures are really, really appetising, but I think the quality they've got in that front three outside of Salah is ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
Is Rodgers a good pick from Aston Villa, coming in at 5 million this season? I think he scored last night as well against Walsall, so on a lot of people's radars at the moment.
I saw someone tweeting saying he's the new Cole Palmer. We'll see. I think he's one of those where you can just pick a solid team. What I would do at the start of this season is pick a solid team, and then if he emerges as a really good like enabling option, just buy him. I wouldn't start with him, but if he does emerge as a good option, you can always bring him in.
Yeah, agreed. Continuing with the Rodgers theme, would you rather go for Rodgers or Hudson-Odoi / Alanga?
I'd probably say Rodgers because I think Villa will score more goals.
Yeah, okay. How are you planning the 5 transfer limit and wild card? Obviously, that was one of the new rules that came in. I kind of like the new rules, but at the same time, I was also thinking, I think I maybe burned a transfer once last season, and I don't remember a time where I could have even got up to 5 transfers to roll over. To be honest, I don't know about you, mate.
No, I'm the same. My plan is to have a really good start, not make a transfer for 5 weeks, and then basically have 2 wild cards before Christmas. But no, yeah, I play fan team. I don't know if you've played. I think did you play it during the Euros?
Yeah.
But yeah, you can basically stack up transfers there. And what I find that even if you feel like inclined to make a transfer in that game, usually the best option if you're reasonably happy with your team is to not do it. And then eventually down the line, you will find a way or see a very good way to use all your transfers. So I think banking transfers is going to be, I think, a good play most weeks for most players, which obviously makes, I think it's going to make FPL content a bit boring if we just say roll your transfers every week.
I think that's the thing though. I think a lot of people and kind of like a lot of friends I have kind of play the game casually, and that's what most people realistically are going to be doing. And I feel they just won't be able to resist. You know what I mean? There'll be a player that they'll see on Match of the Day. He'll get a couple goals and they'll be like, he's straight in. I don't care about the fixtures. I'm not rolling anymore. I feel like if you put a shiny thing in front of people, they're gonna click that button, aren't they?
And ultimately, like people might be frustrated with the changes, etc. But like the Premier League's objective for this game is going to be to grow it and appeal to the masses, right? So if they introduce, want to appeal to more people, they're going to have to do things that appeal to the more like casual players, right?
Yeah, agreed. I think this one's an interesting one though because it doesn't quite appeal to the casual manager, does it? It appeals more to the kind of more
I suppose you're right, yeah.
Planners like us. But at the same time,
I suppose you're right.
Maybe it's for the people that leave the team for 5 weeks and then just come back and they go, well, I've got 5 transfers, so happy days. Some people have already sent their teams in as well, so we'll go and check those out in probably around 5 minutes. We'll try and answer some more questions as well. Which 3 teams do you think have the best opening fixtures between match day 1 and 6?
I'm on the spotlight here. I don't feel comfortable answering that one at the moment. Liverpool definitely have the best. Yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah, I'm just going to open the fixtures up. Liverpool definitely have the best. I think, interestingly, even though Villa play Arsenal in match day 2, they've got West Ham, who are under new management, so we'll have to wait and see how that one goes. Leicester, Everton and Wolves at home, and then Ipswich in match day 6.
Strong, isn't it?
That's a really, really good run. Fulham have also got a decent run. They've got Newcastle and United in the opening 6, but outside of that, they've got Leicester at home, Ipswich away, West Ham at home, and Nottingham Forest away. That's a pretty decent run for them as well. The Liverpool one you mentioned as well is pretty strong. And then Newcastle, obviously quite a lot of us looking at, double Newcastle with Gordon and Isak, and some of us even going with triple with the likes of Trippier, and Dan Burn as well. So they're probably some of the strongest fixtures you can get at the start of this season.
Yeah, like it.
Tom, do Munoz to Anderson or Watkins to João Pedro? And the mid to 4.5. Luke, if you want to rewrite that one out to me, I tried to decipher it, but rewrite it out for me in like steps with slashes. That's the best way to do it. What is the best 5.5 million City defender?
None of them. I wouldn't pick any of them. I don't know about you, mate, but I wouldn't touch him.
I think when you've got Gvardiol at that extra just 0.5 million, I think I have to agree with you on that. To be honest, like I think it's just worth the kind of the amount of opportunities and XG and everything he created in 28 games is gonna far outshine whatever those 5.5 million kind of just basic defenders do, in my opinion.
Agree.
What do you think the mystery chip is going to be? Obviously, they're not announcing that till January because they probably had bugger all planned.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they know what it is yet. I don't think they know.
Any guesses or any maybe, FPL Towers might be watching this video? Any
I
inspiration
reckon.
for them?
I reckon it will be something similar to what they've done with one of their FPL challenges. They'll take a theme from one of the FPL challenges or something like that, I reckon.
Yeah.
Maybe like, I don't know, triple captain and vice captain score. I don't know, something like that. Who knows?
Yeah, decent shout. Thoughts on Luke Shaw as an option? Obviously, played a few games in the Euros, starting to get himself match fit. Down the years, he's been a very, very decent option, but is he going to be an option this year at 5 million?
I get Dallo. Just get Dallo instead.
Nice. If you were to put an Arsenal player in for the first 5 game weeks, who would it be?
Saliba or Gabriel, I reckon, mate.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Yeah, I think I looked the other day at Saka's fixtures and I think I preferred the likes of both Palmer and Foden over him, so I'd probably have to agree with you from a defensive standpoint. With their strong record last season, I think that's probably the better way to go about it.
Yeah, there's just no. Odegaard at 8.5 could be good, but I don't think it doesn't excite me enough to pick him from the start. But if he does get off to a good start, he's a good price.
Yeah, agreed. Some people asking how they can send their teams in. If you want to leave it under my most recent tweet or under Golden Goal Fantasy Football's most recent
I'll
tweet
get Twitter
as well.
up.
Yeah, we'll get some of those and we'll take a look at those in a second. Someone said double points for all squads. That'd be an interesting one. Favorite players that many people aren't talking about at the moment?
I think everyone that's pickable has been spoken about, really. Have you got any ideas? I'll have a quick look through the list if you can think of any.
Munoz was briefly mentioned in the chat, but for 5 million, I think he's under 5% owned as well for Crystal Palace. Some pretty decent fixtures. Picked up an assist in 1 in every 4 games, and he only joined in January. I think he played like 16 games, 4 assists. So very, very decent numbers from him. So if Palace can kick on from where they've finished the season, he could be a great shout.
I'll throw in Rashford as well. I don't know. I feel like leaving him out of the Euro squad is going to have a big impact on how he plays, and I think he's going to go back to a good level Rashford this season. And I think if he does, 7 million's a really good price. So I'd say Rashford. He's the one that I'd back this season.
Nice. He always seems to do that, doesn't he? He has like one good year, then he falls away completely, and then he's just back to the same old Rashford.
Yeah, completely agree.
Do you think Solanke or Havertz are any good options instead of Watkins or Isak to save money?
I'm not that excited about Havertz, I must say. I don't know if you are, but I really like Solanke. Solanke just ticks all the boxes of a good FPL asset. Plays every game, 90 minutes, takes penalties. I think he scored 20 goals last season.
Yeah.
I mean, good striker.
Yeah, I'm fully on board with the Dominic Solanke hype as well because I owned him for large parts of last season. He was absolutely phenomenal. Like you said, on penalties, plays the full 90 minutes. There isn't really any competition for him. He's pretty good with injuries as well. He doesn't get injured very often. So I think when Bournemouth's fixtures are right, I'll probably swap out one of Isak or Watkins for him. Havertz, I'm in agreement with you again, to be honest. I don't know what it is. I just can't see him being the forward they need. And I think they will go and buy a forward at some point this window. Whether that's...
They have to, don't they? Surely.
Yeah. If they're serious about challenging for the title, they're going to have to go and buy a forward. So I think that makes Havertz as an option just a bit null and void, to be honest. Next question: Do you think you're worried about Nkunku being injury prone? I mean, I kind of looked at his record prior to coming to Chelsea, and his injury record wasn't actually that bad. It's just because he suffered quite a long-term injury and then just couldn't really get himself fit because obviously he'd been out for quite a long time. I think with a full pre-season under his belt, I think he'll be fine. As long as he can obviously avoid any injuries, I think he'll be fine this season.
Yeah, I think you're bang on, mate. I agree.
Cool. Keep the questions coming in, guys. We are going to head over to Twitter and take a look at some of the teams we've been sent in so far. So if you do want your team rating by myself and Tom, head over to Twitter and we'll take a look at some of those. First one that's been sent in is from Thomas FPL. Let me make sure you guys can see this. You can. Wonderful stuff. His team has Miguel in goal for Nottingham Forest. Interesting. Dan Burn, Murillo, Trent, Salah, Foden, Hudson-Odoi, Anthony Gordon, Darwin, Isak, Watkins, and on the bench, Sanchez, and Nkunku, Dunk, and Harwood Bellis. What do you think about that one, mate? There's some interesting picks in there, to say the least.
Yeah, I can see what he's done. I guess if Miguel doesn't play, you just get Sanchez in. I'm not sure I'd pick an extra Nottingham Forest defender. I know they've got Bournemouth, but I'm not sure I would. And I think you could probably spend a bit less money on the bench, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with that, to be honest. Like, do you really need one of them? I feel like you could get a 4.5 million and maybe get a better defender in, to be honest. I don't know. Like, I agree with your points about the double Forest defence. I think that's an interesting one. I'm not a big fan on Darwin either, to be honest. I think
fair enough.
I avoided him at all costs last season and it paid quite well. He's just not a natural finisher, is he?
He's a confidence player. That's what he is.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this could be his year. Maybe this could be the one.
Do you reckon he'll get a ban for his antics in the Copa America as well?
I feel if he was going to get one, it would have already came in, to be honest.
It would have happened, yeah, fair enough.
But, like, obviously, I think afterwards as well, it was announced like he was protecting his family. So I think, you know, FIFA are probably looking at it kind of from a different standpoint rather than him just being a hooligan. Just going for a scrap in the crowd. Because that was the way it was kind of portrayed on Twitter, wasn't it? Like, he's just, typical Darwin, here he is.
One thing I would say, I do like the Isak captaincy here, though. I think Southampton at home, Isak, he's, I think, the confirmed penalty taker now for Newcastle, even when Wilson's on the pitch. I like that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that one as well, to be honest. I think if you're not planning on having Salah, I think Isak's automatically the best captain option. Cool. Let's move on to the next team. Oh, or not. Here's the next one from Luke. Let me move that there and put you back on the screen. For some reason, as soon as I go onto Twitter, it just knocks you off the camera, which is annoying. But
it's rude. It
is. Next team is Sanchez, Bentley, Trent, Mattison, Mikalenko, Bednarek, Robinson, Salah, Gordon, Eze, Foden, and Nkunku, Watkins, Isak, and João Pedro. A pretty strong team, but again, I'm noticing another absence of Erling Haaland in someone's team.
Yeah, it's a really good team. I can't really fault it, to be honest. I think it'll do you just fine. The one thing I would say, you could probably just get, I think I'd go Konsa over Maatsen, just because, I don't know, wouldn't be 100% sure that Maatsen will play every game, especially with Champions League football. But the rest of the team is really good. Obviously, it doesn't have Haaland, but I think it's viable to go without him. I personally wouldn't do it, but I can't say it's a bad team. It looks really good.
Yeah, agreed. There's one player I have quite a gripe with at the moment, and it's João Pedro. And I think he's a great option at 5.5, but I'm just not on board with the Brighton fixtures, to be honest. Like, I think for 5.5 million, yeah, he's a great player. But realistically, up until maybe game week 4, I don't think you're going to play him. So I think what you could do with this team is downgrade Mattison to Konsa and go for Chris Wood for the opening 3 fixtures. You're gonna play Chris Wood. You're not, realistically, Everton away on paper seems like a good fixture, but I'm backing Everton at home there, to be honest. Then it's United at home. Then it's Arsenal away. How many goals is he probably going to score over those opening 3 games? I'm gonna put my money out there. I'm gonna put my kind of reputation on the line. I'm saying he's scoring 0 in those opening 3 games. Chris Wood, on the other hand, it's you know, I reckon there's probably 2-3 goals in there for Chris Wood over the opening 3.
How long have you been waiting to suggest Chris Wood, by the way? I get a feeling that you've been wanting to do that for a while.
I think there was a point last season where I was so close to owning him, and I wish I did. It was right before he went on that streak of just absolutely slapping in goals for fun. And then I loaded up the hub predictor before we were like going live, and I just saw him in the top 10 over the opening 4 game weeks and just went, he's just a bit tempting, isn't he, Chris Wood?
Do you reckon, because his competitor for that position, Awoniyi, is really good as well?
He is.
Do you reckon? I don't know. I wouldn't be 100% sure that Chris Wood starts. So I think Awoniyi is just as good, if not better.
He is. Can Awoniyi play on the right or the left? I'm just thinking how their team's going to line up this season.
I've no idea. I think it'd be one striker and then Hudson-Odoi, Alanga, and Gibbs-White. And then that striker position's up for grabs.
I guess I'm gonna have to just take a look over pre-season, see who's starting more games. But it's you know, you've put a dampener on the kind of Wood parade.
Nothing personal against Chris, eh? Chris is a good guy. I'm not here to berate him.
Cool. Let's move on to the next team. Let me get to the next one up. This one's coming from FPL Copycat. Don't let the name fool you. He won't be copying any of our teams. Oh my god, the new graphic is terrible. I can't see that. There we go. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the new graphic. I know we spoke about it off stream as well before coming live. It's hideous. Yeah. It's honestly
it's making me go like that.
Yeah. This one is Areola, Trent, Saliba, Martinez, Gibbs, White, Gordon, Eze, Rodri, Odegaard, Haaland, Isak, bench, Flecken, Pedro, Harwood Bellis, and Joachim Anderson. Again, another very strong team been sent in here.
I've just taken some time to digest it. Yeah, looks good. Looks good. Rodri obviously had a really strong year last year. Is he? I just don't know. Is he worth 6.5 million? Is the question I would ask. But every other player in this team, I think, is very much pickable. Yeah,
I think if they had Rodri at 5.5 again, I think he would have gone straight into my team. At 6.5, his returns are just a little bit too unpredictable for that price point. So for me, it's probably a no on the old Rodri front. First team we've seen with Haaland in as well, which is an interesting one.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously got your man João Pedro on the bench as well.
Wow, yeah. I'm just waiting for a Chris Wood team to be sent in, to be honest. So if anyone's got one of those.
I'll tell you what, one thing that excuse me, not necessarily mentioned yet in this stream. I see he's got Martinez there, 4.5 million defender, should obviously be first choice for Man United. Do you think that United defence are going to be better this season? Provide they've got this Lenny, I'm not going to pretend I know about him, but he's been bigged up a lot. Lenny Yoro, the new centre-back, alongside potentially Martinez, and then maybe a new CDM in front of them. Do you reckon they'll be stronger?
I think they will, yeah. Obviously, last year, the data was horrific, wasn't it? And looking at some of the predicted tables based off last season's data, it has them down in like 15th. But I think if you look at the first season that Eric was there, the defensive data was actually pretty decent. I think, obviously, the mass injuries they had and having to pay people like Johnny Evans and, you know, Harry Maguire, he's not a bad defender, but he's not at the same level as some of the other players that they had available in the previous season. So I think yeah, they obviously need a new DM. Casemiro's terrible. Like, he's not Premier League quality. He's Saudi League quality, realistically, is what Casemiro is. So I think if they can get the additions right, get them settled, get them playing together, Martinez fit from the start of the season as well, I think they'll be a lot better defensively this year.
Agreed.
Cool. Right, let's move on to the next one. keep your questions coming in, guys. We will head back to the questions after we've done a few more of these ratings here. Next one that we've got has Sanchez in goal, Anderson, Trippier, Trent, Salah and Cuckoo, Eze, Foden, Gordon, Watkins, Isak, Turner, João Pedro, Bednarek, and Wout Fass. Eze is a player we've not spoken about yet. What do you think about him?
I love him. I think he's going to be one of the most popular players in the game. Similar to like when we spoke about Solanke, he didn't have the best injury record last year. That's one sort of downside. But with Elise gone, he's going to take penalties, free kicks. He's going to be the Crystal Palace talisman. And Palace, under their new manager, was just night and day, so much better to what they were at the start of the season. So yeah, I really like Eze. He's probably the one of 2 or 3 players that's been in every draft I've made.
Who are the other ones?
Haaland so far, and Trent.
Oh, Trent! You're really loving Trent, aren't you? You're a big fan.
I think he's good value. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Maybe I'm gonna have to build some drafts with Trent in after this stream.
Yeah, his team's strong. I like it. Maybe João Pedro's a little bit too much to be spending on a bench player. Maybe you could go to, I don't know, a 4.5 defender and then just drop him to a 4.5 striker. I don't know. Maybe it's just, in my mind, a little bit too much for the bench, I think.
Yeah, agreed. Next team, a lot of them are starting to look quite similar, to be honest. This is the first one with Cole Palmer, but what I'm kind of getting from looking at your guys' team, there's a very similar theme kind of running through. Eze is very popular. Phil Foden seems quite popular as well. Salah's definitely a popular pick that's kind of remaining throughout a lot of these drafts. And then the front two is usually Watkins and Isak. Do you think that's probably going to be something that by the time game week 1 rolls around is still going to be the main theme, or do you think the template might change at that point?
I just think Watkins got 37 attacking returns last season and he's 9 million. I don't have him in my team, but I mean, I can't deny that that's really good value. So yeah, I think personally, the first team I built, and I've changed my opinion multiple times on this, but I was dead set on thinking that a front three of Haaland, Watkins and Isak was better than selling, downgrading and getting Salah in your team, because I just think there are so many returns almost guaranteed between, Haaland, Watkins and Isak.
Yeah. I think, like you said, like both of them last season were exceptional. I think, again, though, we spoke about it with Palmer, maybe there being a shift away from certain returns. If you looked at Watkins' data from last season, the assists and the number of expected assists he had, night and day, like the gulf is massive. It's massive. And I think that will probably take a little bit of a downturn. But to counteract that point, he's probably going to be on penalties this season, isn't he, with Douglas Luiz departing?
You got to think so. It's him or John McGinn, and I hope he is. I hope he is.
I mean, surely if you're the manager, you've got to be thinking, I want Ollie Watkins on this. Like, no offence to John McGinn, but I wouldn't feel confident with John McGinn stepping up for a penalty, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Unai, I don't think he's necessarily said it in an interview, but he's the same. He kind of treats Watkins and Konsa in the same way. He kind of sees them as like genuine superstars. And for that reason, I think he'll try and push Watkins to take pens.
Yeah, agreed. And that'll probably push his goals up even more. How many goals did Douglas Luiz get last season? Like, it's quite a few from penalties as well.
I'll have a quick look. It was quite a lot. He was a genuinely pickable option, wasn't he?
Yeah, at one point where he was just slapping in the long range efforts and then picking up a penalty in the other games as well. So, yeah, it might have been like 6, 7. I'm gonna say for penalty goals last season for Douglas Luiz.
I'll get back to you. My laptop's being slow, unfortunately.
No worries.
Which is why I couldn't stream.
No worries. I'll whack it. I'll get the next team up. Bashir's team. Let's take a look at this bad boy. Cool. Alisson Becker. First time we've seen a premium goalkeeper, so I'll ask you about that. Van der Veen, Mikalenko, Byrne, Saka, Eze, Palmer, Bruno, a player we've not spoke about either. Son, again another player. So this is a decent team. Some definite differentials we've not spoken about so far. Obviously, like I alluded to, you released a goalkeeper video today. If anyone's not watched that, go and check it out. Amazing content as always from Tom. Talk me through the premium goalkeepers. Is there any worth potentially taking a look at this season?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think the kind of advice I gave was pick the rest of your team and see how much money you got left for your keeper, basically. But I think there's three premium options. Obviously, you got Raya, Allison, and probably Edison or Ortega. But Edison and Ortega are going to play in the same kind of way. Raya gets very little in the way of saves, but keeps a lot of clean sheets. Edison is going to be about the same, and then Allison is a balance between the two. But I think there's so much value, even at 5 million and 4.5, where I would be hard pressed in my mind to pick a 5.5 keeper. I think, but
Yeah,
Allison does have really good fixtures to start the season. You can't deny the quality of his fixtures.
you do. But I agree with you, to be honest. If you're spending an extra million over a 4.5 million goalkeeper who realistically over the same periods maybe going to come off a couple points worse, less off, like what could you do with that extra million going forward? Like you could do so many better things, in my personal opinion, on that one.
And like traditionally in FPL, the top scoring goalkeepers are the ones that keep like an average amount of clean sheets, but get saves bonus every game.
Yeah,
And I'm not sure Allison will quite do that.
they just don't concede enough shots, do they?
No,
Like
no,
Liverpool were one
exactly.
of the best defenses for XG conceded, so he's not going to be able to rack up the obviously the points for the saves and obviously picking up bonus subsequently off the back of that as well. Who was the other players I pointed out? Bruno Fernandes, 8.5 million, seems like a little bit of a steal at that price point, doesn't he?
Yeah, mate. Another one again, like we spoke about Eze and Solanke, plays every game. Even when he's injured, he starts for Man United, takes penalties, he'll be on the free kicks, 90-minute man. One of like his creation statistics are just outrageous. And I think they suffered last season from obviously Hoyland being injured at the start and obviously being a bit young and still a bit raw. He's obviously going to come back this season, be a bit better. He's actually got some competition as a striker now in that Xerxes guy. I think Bruno's a really good option. Yeah, I'm surprised I've not used him in a draft of mine so far, to be honest.
Yeah, I think for me he'll probably end up in at some point, but the start, Fulham, a little bit of a difficult test. Brighton, I don't know what they're going to look like this season. Liverpool, Southampton's probably a win. You would expect that one. But then Palace, if we're saying they're going to kick on from last season, that's not an easy fixture on paper. Tottenham, then Villa. Like, yeah, I think that's quite a difficult run for Manchester United, especially with a lot of the new defensive additions that they're going to have as well. I think that could take a little bit of time for them to get settled. Not an easy start as well. I think the pressure's still on Eric as well.
Oh, mate, the pressure's huge.
Yeah,
I think it's genuinely one of the hardest jobs in the world being Man United manager, I think.
yeah. Because realistically, you're not just a manager, are you? You're like a PR mouthpiece as well.
You're a politician,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. You've got everything that comes out of your mouth has to be 100% correct, or some fanboys on Twitter are going to clip it up and that's it, you're done. Forget it.
And it's not just one fanboy, it's like, what, 100,000 people?
Yeah, literally.
Or more than that, millions. Anyway,
Right, let's move on to the next team. Has anybody sent them on yours as well, mate? I'll go and check them out after as well.
Were you going to pick one from your replies? If you do that, I'll have a look at mine if you want to read through another team on yours.
Yeah, I've got through this one. I can't
Okay.
actually see who the goalkeeper is actually. It's Onana. There we go. It's not shown on screen, but it is Onana. That's so annoying that it keeps doing that. But it is Onana, Gvardiol, Martinez, Burn, Salah, Eze, Gordon, Palmer, Bruno Fernandes, Havertz, Sanchez, Diassi, Charlie Taylor, the 4 million hero from last season, and then Fraser from Wolves, who I'm guessing is a 4.5 million forward. So triple United. Yeah, I don't think that would be the one for me. Obviously, we kind of just cascaded the fixtures there. Double defence as well for United off the back of last season. We did say it's going to improve, but I think it's still risky, to be honest. Double United defence.
Yeah, United to me feels like at some point we might have two or three in our teams this season, but based on what we've seen last season to start this year, I'm just not sure you can go that deep into them.
Agreed. Havertz up front. I know we obviously alluded to it. First team I think we've seen with him in. We're not big fans, are we, the pair of us?
I haven't been able to find the team in your replies. Who has he got up front again? Or who have they got in front?
He's just got
up front?
Havertz, Isak, and then Fraser, who my guess is just a 4.5 million dud.
Yeah, I just picked Solanke over Havertz and save yourself 500,000.
Yeah, I agree. I even think with Bournemouth not having the greatest fixtures, I still think he'll probably outscore
Yeah.
Havertz. Just for the penalties alone, you never know what you could get in one of those fixtures.
I also, excuse me, from playing. Well, I remember watching a podcast a couple years ago. So whether it counts for the last couple seasons, I'm not sure. But they showed like the trend of Premier League clean sheets and like goals being scored across the season. And at the start of the season, it's really high in terms of goals scored. And then as teams sort of learn a bit about each other and how they play, the clean sheets and the goals sort of drop off a little bit, and teams keeping more clean sheets. So yeah, like you say, Solanke having tough fixtures, etc. But given it's the start of the season, I think there'll be more goals.
That's interesting. That is very interesting.
I don't know how relevant that stat is for the last 2 years, but I remember it probably being a couple of years ago. Someone mentioned that.
Yeah, I imagine last year was probably an anomaly, to be honest, because it seemed like nobody
Oh,
was
so
keeping
many
clean
goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that trend's going to continue this year, or do you think it might kind of return to more kind of clean sheets back?
I don't know. I just think some of the defenses were quite poor quality. Like Arsenal still managed to keep it low, didn't they? Just
Yeah.
by having good defenders. So and Man City, I think, were unlucky to concede as many as they did. And towards the back end of the season, they actually started getting like proper clean sheets. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it'll probably maybe revert a bit back to more normal, I would say.
Yeah. I think last season as well, you had quite a few. I don't want to say wild, but I'd say more extreme defensive ideas with some managers. I'm thinking of Ange Postecoglou, De Zerbi as well. These managers that didn't really have defense on the mind.
Yeah, yeah.
It was more purely attack. I remember it was what game was it where Spurs went down to like 9 or 8, and they were still for some
They played
reason.
Chelsea, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they were still playing a high line. It was just like, lads, are you dumb? Did you have anyone in your replies, mate?
Oh, I was checking. I was sorry. I was checking yours too.
Sorry.
Let's have a look. Do.
If not, I've
I've
got
done
another
so
one.
many tweets today.
Ah, it's cool, man.
Right. No, I don't. I actually got a couple questions, but no teams by the looks of it. You carry on.
Cool. We'll do this last team and then we'll run through those questions, mate, if you like.
Go for it.
Sweet. Right, this is going to be the final team we'll review for now. If you do want your team reviewing, send it me or Tom on Twitter. I'll actually put your Twitter in the chat when I can find the page and the link. I'll sort that in a second once we start talking, so it's a little bit less awkward. But here's the last team we're going to review for now. If you do want to send them in, like I said, I'll leave a link to Tom's Twitter and mine in the chat so you can go and check it out. Obviously, if we don't review any more in the stream, I'll just reply to them on Twitter and just help you guys out. So let's go through this one. Flecken, Trent, Burn, Konza, Salah, Gibbs-White, Eze, Gordon, Haaland, Saka, João Pedro. In terms of kind of standout players for me, probably Harry Winks on the bench is probably a player we've not discussed too much. I feel the rest of the starting 11 is very, very decent, very strong looking, to be honest. But Harry Winks coming in at 4.5 million, played 45 games for Leicester last season. Very, very probably the best 4.5 million we're going to get this season in midfield, isn't he?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, mate. Yeah, he's a bit less defensive than others as well. I wouldn't really call him an out-and-out holding midfielder. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, he's a good option.
Sweet, man. Do you want to go through those questions you've had on your Twitter?
Yeah, I was just having a quick look at that team. I thought the goalkeeper was called Voldemort then. Right, had a couple. Good mate of mine and fellow YouTuber, FPL Prem Tipster. He asks, so we've already kind of covered it really, but are you going with Haaland? If not, who will your alternate captains be when Haaland is the optimal pick? So I don't know if you can get it up on your screen any easy way, but game weeks 2, 3, and 4, if you're not having Haaland, I think you need an alternate captain for those weeks.
Yeah, let me just get the FDR rating up. There we go, we can see that. Bosh. There we go. That's up on
So
screen
game week
now.
2, who would you captain game week 2?
Well, for me, game week 2, you've got Ollie Watkins against Leicester. That could be a decent shout. If you've got Cole Palmer...
Has he not got... Are you looking...
Oh, sorry,
I
I
got
meant
Arsenal
game
on
week.
this one.
I was looking at game week 3. Sorry.
It's all right.
Cole Palmer against Wolves.
Yeah.
Who else have you got in here? I guess if you've got Salah against Brentford. If you've gone for Foden over Haaland against Ipswich. I mean, you could easily go for Isak again in Bournemouth away. It's not a bad fixture to go for, is it?
Yeah. So I guess there are alternatives, aren't there?
Yeah, definitely so. Definitely so.
What do you reckon for three?
I kind of already spoiled that one.
Yeah.
I'd probably go for Ollie Watkins with that one with Leicester.
I don't mind that at all, you know. What one thing I would say about Leicester is if they play Wout Faes and Vestergaard at centre back, they are mate, they're terrible. They will get absolutely torn apart in the Premier League. That's how they got relegated last time. So yeah, Ollie Watkins against Leicester. It's a good shout.
Decent. It is a decent one. What about you? Who would you go for outside of Ollie Watkins? Obviously, I've kind of taken that one.
You have, you have.
I'm just trying to look if there's anyone else.
Genuinely, do you think Ollie Watkins is a better captain than Haaland game week 3? I think
Yeah,
he probably is, you know.
I think he is. I genuinely think he is. Maybe there is
Especially
the
if he's
option.
confirmed on penalties. We could obviously go Salah, right, against Man United.
Yeah, you could do. Or this might look like a wild one on paper, but Isak again. If you've looked at the last two home games, Newcastle Tottenham, it's been goal fests for Newcastle.
Yeah.
For some reason, Spurs just cannot go to St James's Park. It's like a bogey ground for them. So it might look wild on paper, but historically, it's a pretty decent one. What about four? Who
And
would you go
then,
for?
yeah, Salah again.
Yeah,
Could go Palmer, Watkins maybe again. There's
yeah,
alternatives, isn't there, to be fair, in
yeah.
every game. And maybe Isak again.
Could go Eze if Leicester are looking
Yeah,
really
yeah.
really shoddy at the start of the season as well.
Very good shout. So yeah, I guess there are alternatives, aren't they? Aren't there?
Definitely so. Definitely so, mate. Cool.
And then I had a question from FPL Stig who said, if your squad stays injury free, how many weeks will you roll before making your first transfers?
Ooh. I think I played around on it with FPL Team, and I think I got to around match day 4 before I had to take Hudson-Odoi out. So
Yeah,
4 probably weeks, but it's probably not going to work like that in theory. Like, there's going to be some shiny toy that comes along that just everybody wants, and maybe some teams look better or worse than we first expected, or there's going to be some rotation. Like, I remember last year, nobody expected Gabriel to be dropped for the opening few games, and then he was.
oh, don't talk to me about that. Yeah, yeah.
I was in the
It's
same
crazy, wasn't
position.
it? Absolutely crazy decision to do that.
Yeah, literally, mate. It was madness. Cool. You got any more for us on Twitter? I've got some more
I
in
was
the
just
chat.
gonna, I was gonna say myself. I reckon you should try for game week 2. You should really try and not make a transfer because you can do a lot more damage with 2 than you can with 1. I reckon.
Agreed. I think
That
like
was it. I think. Sorry, mate. Carry on.
no. I think I'd only do it if like there's an injury, to be honest, or maybe the system does like the not the system, but like a player maybe gets early substituted. I'm thinking for the people that probably go Havertz and then are shocked when he comes off in the 60th minute.
Or plays in the midfield.
Or yeah, or plays in midfield, so he's not a viable option. Cool.
I think that's it for my questions, mate.
Sweet. We've got plenty more in the YouTube chat. You guys have been absolutely immense. If you're enjoying any of the content that you've seen so far from myself or from Golden Goal, be sure to go and check his channel out after this stream. I'll absolutely spam it in the chat for him after this stream's finished. But like I said, like, subscribe, all that good stuff.
I see a few familiar faces from my streams as well. So thank you everyone for joining that usually watches my stuff. I appreciate that.
Cool. Let's have a look. So I'm trying to find any questions we've not kind of already spoke about, to be honest. Best 4 million goalkeepers. I don't think there's any playing ones this year, is there? Which is a shame.
No, they're all backups. Just because I don't know if he ever displaced Jose Sarr, but just because when he did play, he was really good. I'd probably give it to Bentley as my favourite, but he's probably not going to play.
Yeah, probably not. Although he did feature a few times, didn't he? When Jose Sarr dropped out a few times, so could
He
be
did.
probably the better option.
I think he played 5 games and kept 3 clean sheets.
Maybe he's the one. Kieran's asked, why is Bowen not being talked about?
Don't know, mate. I think he's good. I question how West Ham play under the new manager, but I mean, he ticks again, apart from penalties, which he might take with Paqueta. I don't know what's happening with Paqueta,
Oh,
but
he's finished.
I think he is finished, isn't he? He could be the pen taker for West Ham. And honestly, the guy he's so clinical with his finishing, and he plays 90 minutes every game, rarely gets injured, sometimes even plays when he is injured.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's good.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the fixtures. I think the reason a lot of us aren't going for him is because the opening 5 fixtures, even if you want to include Brentford in 6, it's pretty dismal. Villa at home, Palace away, City at home, Fulham maybe, yeah, Chelsea, Brentford. I think there will be a point when we all end up with Jared Bowen because, like you said, he's incredible. I had him for large parts last season, and I was thankful enough to get him for when he got this hat trick. But yeah, like I think that's probably the reason why we're quite cold on Bowen at the moment, because the fixtures are just not there.
Yeah, fair enough.
Cool. But similar question: Bowen or Eze? I think we've kind of touched on that one with the start of the season fixtures. To be honest, haven't we?
I think, yeah, fixtures and all that aside, just the fact that Eze will take penalties, I think makes him better than Bowen.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Cool. I can see some of you have sent the teams. If we've got time, we'll go and take a look at those. If not, I'll just reply to them on Twitter a little bit later for you guys. Foden and a 5 million keeper, or Saka and Sanchez from Chelsea?
God, that's tough. That's really tough.
Mm.
Flip a coin. Yeah, I think that's really tough.
I think I'd favour City's opening fixtures a little bit more than Arsenal, so probably would be leading more towards Foden. But
Yeah. Or how about Foden, another 4.5 million keeper of your choice, and then spend the extra point 0.5 elsewhere?
oh yeah, I kind of alluded to this in my mock draft. I'm not spending any more than I have to on goalkeepers this season. We're going for a 4.5 and a 4. I'm not faffing about. There's just
I think that's the way to go.
There's so many times last season where I had rotating goalkeepers, and I was always getting it the wrong way round. So
That's dodging clean sheet mentality, that one.
literally, and then I was like looking, and Jordan Pickford picked up 42 points against the top 6 last season. So I'm just gonna play them in the more difficult games and just hope they either get a shit ton of saves, maybe a penalty save thrown in there, and if they keep a clean sheet, happy days, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's what I said when we spoke about goalkeepers before. Like, traditionally, the best goalkeepers in FPL, and it's why Pickford was the top scorer last season, right? I'm pretty sure he was.
Yeah, it
They
was.
keep like an average amount of clean sheets and get 4 or 5 saves per game, which means they get the bonus points every game, and that's the top scoring goalkeeper in FPL right there.
Agreed. Agreed. Uh, that one's made me laugh. I'm gonna have to read that one out. I generally have no idea how good João Pedro is because I've never seen him play, but now I think he's prime Ronaldo.
I'll rate that. I'll rate that.
I mean, if we were talking about Chris Wood, I'd probably agree with you, but João Pedro, nah, forget it, forget it. Thoughts on Barco at Brighton, 4 million? I mean, we touched on him earlier in the stream, didn't we? Could be decent if he
Yeah,
plays in pre-season.
yeah, can't say any more than that. I think he is, yeah, decent.
Rami's asked, how are we feeling about Havertz or Odegaard? I mean, we've already kind of ruled out Havertz as an option, but Odegaard we've not kind of spoke about yet. What do you think about him, mate?
Yeah, I like him. I do. I think 8.5 is a good price, I guess. Comparatively, who else is 8.5? You got Bruno Fernandes, haven't you?
Yeah.
Do you think Odegaard's better than Bruno Fernandes? That's the question, I think, because I would probably pick Bruno over Odegaard, but you can't deny it's a good price and he's a good player, good option.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. Thoughts on Lewis Hall? Do you think he'll start?
I think that Newcastle defence is really uncertain as to who's going to play in it because they got Trippier, Lloyd Kelly, Botman being injured, Dan Burn, Livramento. They've got such a mixture of players that could play those fullback positions. I don't feel comfortable other than saying Trippier, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. Pickford or Onana? I think For me personally, I would prefer Onana. I think Pickford at 5 million is a little bit too steep, and I don't think you're going to get the value from him. Whereas Onana was very, very decent for saves last season. United should, on paper, with some of the transfers they've made, be a better defence overall. So I think he's more kind of valuable at 5 million rather than Jordan Pickford.
I'm going to do a bold prediction. I
Go for
think Onana is going to be the top scoring goalkeeper in the game this season.
it. What makes you think that?
I think he'll just accumulate good amount of saves and get an average amount of clean sheets. It'll tick the box of the top scoring FPL keeper in my mind. I think Everton kept 13 clean sheets last year.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's quite sustainable. Whereas Man United could quite easily get that number, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Palmer or Nkuku, and likewise Salah or Jota. Just for the budget to get Haaland in, is it worth it?
The downgrades you've described there are not worth it, in my opinion.
Okay. I don't think the Jota one is, because there's too much unpredictability around that front three, isn't there? The Nkuku one could be, but it's how Chelsea do, it's how he performs and whether or not he can keep himself fit. That's the big one, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
What other questions have we got? Best 5.5 million mid?
Oh, I'll have to do a filter. 2 seconds, mate. I'll have a look.
No worries. I'm going to do the exact same.
I've not actually picked a midfielder of that price point in my team yet.
I've got Hudson-Odoi in mine. He's pretty decent.
Let's have a look. Filter price 5.5. I'm scrolling.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right, I've just put them into the Fantasy Football Hub projected points algorithm. If you don't know, me and Golden Goal both affiliates of Fantasy Football Hub. There's a link to both our channels and both our sign-up links if you want to go and check that out as well. It helps support our channels, and also you get yourself 50% off as well. So what's not to like about that?
It's a good deal, isn't it?
It's a great deal. Interestingly, they've got Semenyo as the top for over the first 5 game weeks. 22 predicted points for him. Adingra from Brighton, who's apparently off to Marseille, so I don't see that one. Mavidi from Leicester. Hudson-Odoi and Clivert as the opening 5.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this Mavidi of Leicester, I was watching him in the Championship last season, and he's really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, quite how good the Leicester team around him will be. I guess the jury's out on that.
True. Whether or not they can create enough chances for him. Obviously, an aging Jamie Vardy up front as well is not.
And they've just lost Dewsbury Hall as well, who was by far and away their best player. So yeah, it's quite interesting. They got promoted but still lost their best player.
What other questions have we got? Should I sell Isak for Solanke or for Watkins?
Why would you sell him?
True. Agreed.
I'd keep him.
I'm just trying to find if we've got any other questions that we've not kind of answered. Thank you for everyone putting the questions in, but I mean, most of them we've kind of gone through already. Some more about João Pedro, more about Kieran Trippier, who we've already spoke about as well. Will Matt Turner start? Probably not.
That'd be Sales. Sales was brought in to be the first choice keeper, and as soon as he was brought in, he started playing. So yeah, I think Sales is the man. But Matt, there are 3 4 million keepers I think you should go for. Whether or not they play, I don't know. But you've got Dan Bentley, Matt Turner, and then Fabianski of West Ham. Outside of that, I wouldn't touch any of them.
Thoughts on Alanga and Gordon? Do you think they're good picks?
Gordon, definitely. I'm not 100% sure on those Nottingham Forest midfielders. I know you're saying you've got Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah.
I don't think they're quite for me. And then TAA is a good pick, definitely.
Yeah, agreed. Next question. I've just gone off it. I'm just trying to change screens. Let me get back to that. There we go. Will Harvey Barnes or Miguel Almiron play?
I think it's really uncertain. I don't know.
I don't think I'd go for either of those. I think when you've got Anthony Gordon there as kind of a staple at 7.5, I think he was second for points at home last season as well. Just go for Anthony Gordon. Don't bother trying to be a bit cheap and go for one of Harvey Barnes or Miguel Almiron.
Did they make a signing in those positions as well?
I'm trying to think who they brought in. They've got Lloyd Kelly.
Or is it a rumour?
Might be a rumour, yeah. I think they lost one of their wingers, didn't they, to Brighton? Who people were quite excited about and annoyed that they sold. But I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
No, maybe not. They've got Minter, who was loaned to Feyenoord, but that's not really a signing. No, maybe not. Maybe not.
I think that was the guy who's gone to Brighton now. Minter.
Oh, yeah, he has. Yeah, sorry, my bad. I've just looked at the departures. Yeah, 35 million euros. And they've lost Elliot Anderson as well. I didn't realise that.
Yeah, he went to Forest for 30 million as well.
Crazy.
In the old FFP circus.
And unfortunately, Loris Karius and Paul Dummett have been released.
Oh, no. I'm gutted about that. Paul Dummett's one of our channel emotes. I'm sort
Is
of,
he?
Yeah. There was one of the first few streams I ever did on this channel. Someone was adamantly asking me in the chat about Paul Dummett and whether or not he was a good option. So I was just like, fuck it, we're going to make a channel emote for Paul Dummett, just for that guy. Tony worth picking?
Yeah, I think he's only worth picking if he stays at Brentford, though. And I don't think you will know if he's staying at Brentford until the deadline, pretty much.
Yeah, true. Apparently Joel Linton is back fit as well. That'll be a big boost for Newcastle. Someone's asked why the Flecken hype is so high.
I think it's just there are any of the playing 4.5 million keepers you could pick, in my opinion. I wouldn't have him as one of the top ones, though.
Why is that? Because I've got him in my team, so...
I just think they could see too many goals. And
yeah.
I don't know, I will send you some Bundesliga compilations of him if you like. But he is prone to the odd howler. I don't know if you'd be able to play it on YouTube, but I can't remember the team he was at before Brentford. But there's a clip of him having a drink while the opposition are attacking. He turns around and they score after he's had a drink. It's absolutely insane. You need to watch that.
Okay, you might be putting me off Flecken now.
So I've just said he's got a howler in him. Maybe he's got that out of his game now. Now he's at Brentford. Who knows?
Maybe. I think my kind of consensus around picking him was Brentford weren't good last season, but they also had quite a few defensive injuries. Ben Mee, Pinnock were out for a long time. Rico Henry barely featured, who's kind of been their kind of staple back three and kind of a rotating right back. And historically, the way that they set up, they always managed to pick up big results against top six sides. They did the double over Manchester City the season before. They beat Liverpool, they beat Arsenal. So with a goalkeeper where you're playing them against everyone and you don't really care about it, so...
I think he had an amazing game against Man City last season, didn't he, Flecken, from memory? And I think ultimately, these 4.5 million keepers, they'll all do relatively similarly, but they'll trend up and down in around the season. So Flecken might get his points early on or later on. Areola gets points early on, and then you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I was watching. I think it was Andy's first stream or whatever, and he was talking about Pickford. And I know a lot of content creators went for Pickford at the start of the year, and he was terrible. Was just not getting clean sheets.
Yeah.
Everton were woeful.
Yeah.
And then somehow he's ended up being top scoring goalkeeper.
The top scoring keeper.
Season. So
there you go.
I think that's it, isn't it? If you can get a goalkeeper who plays for a semi decent defence, I think you're going to be fine. Just stick with them. Don't worry about them not getting any points.
Completely agree.
Cool, man. It looks like the questions are slowly starting to dry up a little bit. So we'll do till past.
Fine.
If that works for you, man.
Works for me. All good.
Cool. Is there anything do you think that's not been mentioned in today's stream from anyone that you wanted to kind of talk about or discuss or anything like that?
I don't know really. Who would you say outside of Haaland and Salah is going to be the top scoring player in the game?
That is a great question, to be fair.
I know. I just thought that. I was quite impressed. I was
Ooh,
quite impressed
that's
with
a
that
very
question off the
good
top of my head.
question. I think if Isak can keep himself fit for the full season, he could definitely be a shout in there. Same goes for Watkins as well. Obviously, he's going to lose that assist appeal, but if he gets a decent amount of penalties, could be a very, very good option. I mean, you feel like if Arsenal go on to win the league, Saka could be an option as well. But
Yeah.
I think realistically, if Haaland stays fit for the full season, he'll bag 30. He will be top goal scorer.
I think they've made such a mistake with Isak's price. I think 8.5 million for him is outrageous. Is he the most popular player in the game right now in terms of?
Good question. Let's have a look.
Yeah. Oh no, Watkins is 56.7%, and then Isak's 53, Palmer 54. So yeah, he's the third most popular player in the game.
Wow. He's surprised.
Havertz is one of the most popular strikers as well. Terrible.
He's surprised Haaland's only at 31% as well. Or do you expect
Yeah.
that?
I don't know. Is what it is, I guess. I've got him. I've not taken him out yet. But he is expensive. He is. You can't deny that's the most expensive price in FPL history.
Yeah. I think kind of I kind of sit in two camps really. Is like obviously I talk to like a lot of content creators like yourself, and you know we're in different group chats with kind of I'd say more educated minds on fantasy football. And then like I just speak to like my friends and stuff, and they're like adamant that they're not going to own Haaland at this 15 million price tag and stuff like that. So maybe that's kind of the consensus from the more casual, non FPL kind of content watching managers. And maybe it could be a little bit of a little bit of a cheat code at the start of the season if they're all thinking the exact same, and then you know he's captain for us against Ipswich.
That Ipswich captaincy is huge, I think. I don't. I really liked watching Ipswich in the Championship last year, but the step up to the Premier League, I think, will just be too much for them. And defensively, especially, I think all of these promoted teams are going to ship a load of goals.
Yeah, decent. Can see many decent 4.5 million defenders. Tell me your best or top three.
What you got? What you got?
I think Cons is definitely in there as one of them. I think for opening fixtures, I've got Robinson from Fulham in there as well. They've got some really, really decent fixtures. Leicester and Ipswich within their first three. So you'd probably say they're going to have decent clean sheet odds for that one. I'm just looking around at other fixtures as well. I think Anderson from Crystal Palace as well. Got aerial threat. I think if Gahey goes, it could be a little bit of a blow for them defensively. But, I mean, I think realistically the only place he's going to be going is Liverpool now. And if obviously those rumours kind of die off within the next few weeks and they keep hold of him, I think that could be a very strong defence to target this season. So they're my three. What about you?
I'll chuck in. His fixtures aren't great to start, but I'll chuck in 8 Nori. I think at some point he'll be really good.
Yeah.
And then I've got Martinez of Man United in my team because I think he'll be a regular starter provided he doesn't get injured. And I've got a feeling Man United are going to be a lot better this year.
Yeah, agreed. I think we kind of spoke about it in length already, haven't we, with the new signings and players coming back from injury and all that stuff as well. I've got a question for you. Who do you think is going to be like a surprise package this season? A player and a team?
Blimey. Surprise package. Team, I will say Bournemouth because I really like their manager. And I think as a result, probably means Solanke does really well this season, but he kind of already did really well, didn't he?
Yeah.
In terms of a player, just think Isak could compete for the Golden Boot this season. So maybe it's not necessarily a surprise, but I think he'll be up there with Haaland in terms of the amount of goals he puts away. And maybe Liverpool being a bit disappointing. Liverpool and Salah being a bit disappointing is something I've got on my brain.
Yeah. It could very easily happen, isn't it? You usually see it where I think the quote is, "Never step into a great man's shoes." And there's time and time again you see it, whatever, outside of football, inside of football, people that go after people that have created basically a legacy doing something, it just never works. Like, in football, the famous example is Alex Ferguson.
Exactly.
They're still trying to find the replacement now. Outside of that, like Top Gear, that's one of the examples that comes to mind, and just like TV show hosts and stuff like that. It never ever works. So yeah, I think that's a very good shout for Liverpool.
What about you?
I'm feeling quite strong on Nottingham Forest. I was looking at the data, and they were 6 for XG conceded across the whole season last year, which is very, very impressive. I think with that addition they've made as well, coming from where's he come from? It's in Italy, isn't it? Oh, what's the team called?
I'd see you talked about this centre back before. I didn't even realise that they've signed one. I'm gonna have a look.
Yeah, I think it might be from Lazio. Someone will let us know in the chat. Slovenian international centre back, very, very decent. Going already with the strong defensive numbers, and for me, I'm gonna stick with the Forest theme. I'm gonna go Morgan Gibbs-White. I think this is his year where he has to step up to the plate and become like the big man if he wants to. Probably, I think realistically, get a move to like Newcastle next summer. That's probably the progress, or Spurs or somewhere like that. It feels like he's kind of in, I'd say like James Maddison territory, where he's like, people know about him, but if he wants to, start getting permanent England call-ups and start to get, talked about for a bigger move, this has got to be his season where he fully kicks on.
Yeah, I watched him maybe a few seasons ago now, actually, in the Championship when he was on loan at Sheffield United, and he was just like an entire level above the other 21 players that were on the pitch. He was really good. So yeah, I agree.
Cool. Disappointing teams. Who do I go for that? I think. I went for them last year, but I'm going to chuck them in there again. I think Wolves. I think losing Max Kilman could be a blow for them. And they haven't really replaced him either. So I'm going to go for Wolves on that one.
I think all 3 promoted teams go straight back down.
Yeah. If Leicester get that massive points deduction as well, they're done.
Well, they're done for, aren't they?
Yeah.
Disappointing teams? Other than Liverpool and the 3 promoted teams going down, I don't really have any others, I don't think.
I'd like to.
Will there be any bad enough to like be at risk of relegation that aren't the 3 promoted ones, do you think?
I think Wolves could enter that category. And you know what? I'm going to be bold and brave here. I'm going to say West Ham.
Fair.
There's a West Ham fan at work who has basically been saying for a few years that they've been overachieving, and I think I probably agree with that point as well. I think Moyes towards the end had just lost it, and that team really needs some reinvestment. I think aside, like, if Bowen has a spell out injured, they're going to lose Paqueta. He's done. He's like, some of the rumours he's like back off to Brazil to just try and
run away.
Yeah, basically scrape out any career he can. So they're going to lose him. If Bowen has any spell out injured, I think they're done. I think they could be going.
Yeah. Have they signed anyone yet?
They bought Max Kilman.
Of course, yeah.
For 40 million, which seems ridiculous for Max Kilman, to be honest. But aside from that, I can't really think of anyone else they've bought. So I'm not hot on West Ham, to be honest.
Okay, they've signed a Brazilian winger, Luis Gil-Herme from Palmeiras. Wes Foderingham from Sheffield United.
They're building a dream team here. Get them back in Europe.
But other than that, they just got rid of players.
Dear. The amount of wood-related jokes in the comment section is getting a bit wild as well.
I'll have to catch up with it. Like Notion's vid shout with Polinia. Fulham losing Polinia. I agree. He was so important for them.
Yeah, he was great. He was really, really good. One of our channel members, FPL Shane, he says, morning from New Zealand. Sorry for joining late. No need to apologise, man. He says, are there any of the Liverpool mids you've got your eyes on, bar Salah? If Jota gets good minutes pre-season, I may captain him game week 1. That's risky, man. That is very, very risky. I think we've kind of already spoke about the depth and quality Liverpool have within that front three. And I think with a new manager as well, I think he's going to do quite a lot of chopping and changing to find his ideal front three. I don't know if you agree with that point, man.
Yeah, I think it makes sense that he'll chop and change. I do like Jota the slotter. But yeah, I think there's so many players in those positions, isn't there?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I think like even one player we've not mentioned is Diaz. Like no one's even spoke about him, but he's a great shout as well. But this is it. This is the way it's going, isn't it? Like 6 players realistically playing for 3 positions. For the price you're paying for them as well, you can get yourself an Anthony Gordon who's going to play every single minute. I'd rather have an Anthony Gordon.
And Liverpool got Champions League, didn't they?
Yes, I think they came 4th. Is that correct? So it went.
I hope so. But whatever, they'll be in Europe, I'm sure.
Yeah,
so
they're
the rotation is going to be crazy, right?
Yeah.
Once that gets going.
Agreed. I think we're going to leave it there, guys. It looks like the questions have dried up, but a big thank you from myself and Tom. I'm going to put his channel into the chat right now, so go and show him some love as well. On the road to 7K, mate. Is that the goal for before the season starts?
Hey mate, we'll see what happens. It's hard to like with YouTube subs and stuff. It's hard to put a goal to things because you're relying on other people clicking a button, right? But that'd be really nice.
Yeah, well, I think you deserve it, man. You're gonna get there. You're gonna smash it.
Thank you very much, and likewise to you too.
Yeah, and there we go. Nice little bit of flirting between 2 content creators there. Like I said as well, there is the Fantasy Football Hub link in the description. Golden Goal is also a member if you want to go affiliate. Sorry, if you want to go and sign up, 50% off right now. So go and check that out. Plenty more streams and plenty more videos coming up on both of our channels. So hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell so you will be notified as well. Any teams I didn't get round to rating, I'll rate them on Twitter this evening or tomorrow morning when I get a chance as well. But like I said, thank you very much for everyone coming. Any final thoughts from you, Tom?
No, just thanks for having me on. You guys can't see this on the stream, but we're on a Teams call. That's how we're talking to each other. And for the whole stream, I've not been able to see Tom. It's just said a circle with TL on it. So
heartbroken. I'll once the stream ends, when I'll let you see my beautiful face.
No worries.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.